Hello and welcome to Find Your Rate. My name's Jeff, I'm glad you're here. Let's just jump right in. While the rate function typically helps you find the interest rate of a loan, stick around till the end. Our third example uncovers the secret interest rate needed to hit your big investment goal. Let's get started with the first exercise, exercise 1. In this warm-up exercise, we're going to compute the rate for this loan. Now there's two important factors when using Excel's financial functions: time period consistency and cash flows. Let's start with time period consistency. You'll notice there's four numbers here. There's the loan amount, there's the term, there's the payment, and there's the rate. Three of those four have time components. In other words, the term is years, the payment is monthly, and the rate is annual. So it doesn't matter what time period you decide on, the key is that they're all consistent. And they don't have to be consistently entered into these cells, they just have to be consistent within our formula. So let's say we wanted to compute an annual interest rate. So the first thing we have to figure out is, when is interest compounded? Monthly? Annually? If we want to assume interest is compounded monthly, we need to calculate a monthly rate and then multiply by 12. If we assume the interest is compounded annually, then we need to calculate the annual rate. So in this case, we'll assume that interest is compounded monthly equals rate. The first argument is the number of periods, and in order to make this consistent, this also needs to be expressed monthly. So it's going to be the number of years times 12, comma, the payment. Once again, this needs to be monthly, and that's the value in this cell, so we just select that, comma, the present value is the loan amount, that's this, close function. Now this is going to return the monthly rate. Since we want to see that as an annual rate, we need to multiply by 12, enter. And now we get an error. And that brings us to the second important factor, cash flows. These finance functions operate on cash flows, positive inflows and negative outflows. So this loan is a positive inflow to me. That means the subsequent payments need to be outflows or expressed as negative numbers. So I simply need to flip the sign and hit enter. And now that error goes away. So this is how you solve for the rate of a basic loan. Now, if I wanted to assume that interest compounds annually instead of monthly, here's how I'd change this formula. Equals rate. The number of periods is this, annual, comma. The payment is this times 12, again, annual, comma. The present value is this. Close function and enter. So again, the time periods need to be consistent and we need to operate on a cash flow basis. Positive inflows, negative outflows. Let's go to the next exercise, exercise 2. Now, what if we wanted to account for a future value, like a balloon payment? Well, for that, we just need to use the optional future value argument. Let's see how it works. Equals rate. Here we're going to assume interest compounds monthly, so we need to get all of this into months. So the number of periods is this, times 12, the monthly payment is this, the present value is this, and the future value is this. Close function, and that's going to give us a monthly rate. We want this expressed as an annual rate, so we're going to multiply by 12, and we get 7%. But what if there's a balloon payment at the end of this term? Let's say we're still going to owe $5,000. So we enter 5,000, hit enter, and we get like a negative interest rate. So like, what's going on? Well, we just need to remember that these operate on a cash flow basis. So what we want to do is also flip the sign of our future value amount and hit enter. And that's how we can solve for the interest rate of this loan with the given terms. Now let's go to something more exciting, investment goals. If you use Excel frequently, I'd love to help you improve your skills. I'll help you learn Excel so you can get your work done faster. I'd love to have you check out my training programs. Use the link in the description to learn more. Exercise 3. Here, we're going to calculate the interest rate needed to achieve our investment goal. So we set up some input cells. How much am I starting with? What can I invest monthly? How long? And what's my target? So to figure out what interest rate we need to achieve this goal, here's what we do. Equals rate. We're going to assume interest compounds monthly. So our number of periods also have to be monthly. It's this number of years times 12, comma. The payment needs to be monthly, which it is, comma. The present value is how much I'm starting with. I'm starting with 0, so we'll use that, comma. And what's the future value? This is our investment goal. It's this. Close function. That's going to give us a monthly interest rate, so we multiply by 12, enter. So if we can get a 10% interest rate and we start with 0 and we can contribute $450 a month, boom, after 30 years, we'll have $1 million. Now what if I'm starting with something? Let's call it 100,000. 100,000, enter. And once again, we get this error, but we know why. We just need to flip the sign. Cruise over here, flip the sign, hit enter, and now we can achieve our goal if we can get a 6% interest rate. And that's how we can use the rate function to solve for interest rate on loans or these types of investment goals. Hopefully this has been helpful. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day. Hey Excel user, if you ever need to create summary reports, check out my pivot table for beginners video. It starts at the beginning and shows how to store the data transactions in a table and then how to summarize those transactions with a pivot table report. I hope it helps unlock the incredible power of pivot tables.
This video is a production of Excel University.